Our last presenter for today is Mark from SHOP.CA. Are you here, Mark, somewhere? Come on up. Where are you, Mark? Drinks are right after this, so no pressure to move it along quickly.
So is this my cue here? All right. Hold on. So while we get that fired up, I want to take a minute and introduce myself. So my name's Mark Daprato. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at SHOP.CA, which is just coming up on a second-year anniversary of being Canada's online marketplace. And we're pretty proud of that. And we're pretty proud of a lot of the stuff that we've done. And what I'm up here today to talk about is a little bit about how we, sort of the phrase I kind of coined as I was thinking about this, is how we went from nothing to something, and a little bit about our journey to where we've got to so far, and some of our expectations and the things that we're still trying to do. And to sort of illustrate that point before I get into some of the lessons that we've learned as we've gone through this process, was really all starts with the premise that we use every single day in everything that we do, be it platform, be it merchant partners, be it everything, and I'll talk a bit about our model so everybody understands what it is. But I think the most important thing to understand about how we operate from a context of what we call Win 3. And the notion of Win 3 is something that, you know, maybe some people here have their own version of it that you use internally or in your own life or whatever. But for us, Win 3 really is emblematic of everything we do. Win 3 means the consumer wins, means our partners win, and we win. And it has to be that circle, otherwise we will fail at everything that we're trying to do, especially when we're trying to be a little bit brave and trying to be a little bit brash in the things that we do. So I want you to think about sort of that notion of Win 3 as I talk about some of the lessons that we've learned as we've gone through our growth. One of the other things that I'd like to say before I get going is I'm crazily informal. I will be going back to the office after this for more informal work. And what I'd love to offer up is if anybody wants to sort of interrupt me, ask a question, challenge me, throw something out there while I'm going through this, by all means, please do. I think it's a little bit more fun by the end of the day, as you're all waiting for a drink. We can start the cocktail hour now, just sans the drinks. So what is SHOP.CA? Well, we have a pretty brash vision, and that's to be Canada's #1 online shopping destination, helping Canadian consumers have fun with their friends while they shop, share, and earn rewards. And our vision to do that is to really make online shopping in Canada the envy of shoppers around the world. Well, wait, there's Amazon, but wait, there's eBay, but wait, there's all those, absolutely. And everything we do in creating our marketplace is designed to work very hard to try to learn from what other people have done, listen to the consumer to see what they want to do, and find new ways to do things to make it easy and fun to shop online, especially in an underserved market like Canada, where you can online shop very well, but there's a lot of challenges with online shopping in Canada. If you're dealing with duty charges from the US, if you're dealing with import tariffs, if you're worried about your warranty not working when it comes over the border, et cetera, we saw a market need to try to plug that gap and have everything that we do be strictly from a Canadian merchant standpoint. So everything that we do, every product that we have ships from within Canada to Canada. So really, the multi-merchant marketplace, which is what we are, is a pretty well-proven model, and I'm sure most people here know what that model is. And it really is, it really is about bringing merchants together in one portal for one shopping cart, and for one purchase with multiple products from multiple vendors and multiple categories within one shopping cart. Can you just clear that off? Yeah, clear that off, and yeah. That shouldn't have come up. Just close that. And you know, while you're all looking at my calendar, it's awesome. Please have a look. I'm having drinks with my wife tomorrow night, I'm pretty certain. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to walk over here. Give me a moment. This is life in my company. So if we just go, just go to the last one that was up. My goodness. Yeah, it should just pull up this one here. There we go. So really, at the end of the day, what we try to do is we make sure that as a multi-merchant marketplace, we bring all sorts of products to the marketplace. We work with vendors who are merchants, who are retailers, who are manufacturers, we deal with small mom and pop shops, we deal with The Brick, we deal with Bad Boy, we deal directly with Sony, we deal directly with all sorts of different people. It goes on and on and on. But for us to get to this point, we actually had to work through a number of challenges that we had to think about. And those challenges really were all about how do we bring our people together to build a platform. Then we had to think about how are we bringing people onto the site? How are we going to make sure that the products get to the site, make sure people can find the stuff, make sure that the marketing gets out there, make sure that everything people want comes together. So we had a pretty big challenge. We had to convince merchant partners, we had to convince IBM to take a chance on us as an amazing partner of ours. We had to convince Torstar as an early investor in the company to say, we'll invest in you and we'll help you get this off the ground at a higher level. We had to convince a lot of people that what we were trying to do was significant and noteworthy. So about 2 years ago in July, we went live with a very authoritative selection and a brand platform and a site that had, I think we launched with about 1 million products on it at launch. And that was something that we were pretty proud of. That was something where we thought, okay, this is pretty good. We launched with 28 categories. We're now at 27. And we just removed one recently. And what we do is we really want to make sure that we're finding ways to get people to really embrace what we've done. So one of the ways that we think about doing that is we really think about these business principles. We have visitors, we have conversion, we have average order value, right? That's our equation. We have a business model that says the more visitors we get, times a certain conversion rate, times a certain average order value, will really drive our success. And then the next part that we really think about is how do we then turn those first visits into repeat visits and lifetime value, and really understanding that we understand what churn we're getting, what repeat visit we're getting, what types of loyalty offers are people interested in, and how does it really come together. So within our model and everything that we think about every day, it is this combination of visitor, conversion, revenue, AOV, and it's really a bit of an orchestra. And I'll tell you, as a new young company that's working very hard to establish a brand, which is difficult, and establish a great service, which is difficult, and they're all difficult, we work very hard to keep these things in balance. And as we've worked hard to keep these in balance, we've learned a lot. One of the first things that we learned was about loyalty. So we actually launched and have made a big deal about the fact that we believed in a very strong social loyalty model, some of which we've recently changed up a little bit, and some of which we've kept because we believe very strongly in it. And what we want to do is make sure people, to have fun, could share and earn rewards while sharing. Not just share in their social networks, but if they did a share, why not reward them if somebody makes a purchase? Why not ensure that we have a very clean and easy system for people to do that? So we did that from the outset. We've changed it, we've morphed it, we've talked about it with our customers, and we've learned a lot. One of the things that we also learned was building your own loyalty program is difficult. It's very hard. It's very hard for it technically to get it out of the gate, but even more importantly, to make sure that it has traction, to make sure that people believe it, to make sure people understand it. So on May 1st, we actually made a small, we augmented it a little bit, and we went to wonderful new partners at Amy and Aeroplan. And we actually just recently transferred over our rewards program to Aeroplan being the core program. You have until May 31st to get 15 times bonus miles on your first purchase at SHOP.CA. And it expires on May 31st. So one of the things about that program was really about making sure that we know there's lots of people who are loyal to Aeroplan. We had different loyalty components we could have looked at. And we had great conversations with a lot of great Canadian loyalty partners. we worked with Aeroplan. We're very excited about that partnership. But even this, the lesson here for us has been about learning how do we marry social? How do we marry social interaction? How do we marry your ability to earn Aeroplan miles on purchases at our site? And how do we leverage that ability in this relationship with the consumer to really create the desire to come back and trust SHOP.CA? A lot of what we do in our partnerships is centered around creating trust. Which takes me to the next lesson that we've got, which is probably, out of everything I could talk about, this is the most important lesson. And fortunately, we went into this part of the journey with our eyes wide open. And that is the customer, and everybody says it, the customer's first, the customer's first. We got to put the customer first. Hey, let's put the empty chair at the table to make sure the customer's there, and we're looking at the customer, and we're thinking about the customer, right? All that good stuff. Well, you got to mean it, you got to believe it, and we do. And you know what? Every day we fail at it. Every day we miss a beat. Every day we do something right, but every day we do something wrong. And every day we do something wrong is a day where we look each other in the eye and we say, crap, let's go fix that. And we learn from that, and we build that into the system. We build that into the scripting. We build that into everything that we do every day. But really it stems from that customer care is not about emails or call centers. Customer care is about, for us, it comes from making sure that we think about, from my wireless mobile days, about the send-to-end experience of the customer. Making sure that from how we onboard our suppliers before the customers ever even thought about them. Was it easy for the supplier to get products on our site? Was it easy for the supplier to put information on the site that translates to the consumer seeing that information is there, easily digestible, and good for them to make a purchase decision, right? We think about, so suppliers and products. We think about the platform. There is not a day that we don't test and play with our UX and really work on it and come up with new ideas. If my CTO is here, he'd really laugh because, in 2 years, I think we've probably launched our homepage and other site look and feel changes and UX changes. I think we're probably on version 9. We figured we'd be on version 2.3 by now, and we're actually on 9 because every time we get into it, we go, what were we thinking? And we're not afraid to say that. And we just roll up our sleeves and we don't sleep for a few days and we relaunch the platform based on consumer feedback and we rework it relentlessly. Media. So that's my job. That's what I spend all my time doing. I think about media. How do we engage consumers in the right media? What's the right media mix? What's the right cost of that media to generate a transaction? What's the right relationship in that media where we can create a story within that media to help build the trust and credibility of who we are? Not just display ads, not just emails, but engagement. How do we create a relationship with Joffrey Lupul, with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment? Two folks that we've actually had relationships with recently, really built around the notion of sharing content and using media differently. Not just putting our message out there, trying to create two-way dialogues with our media. Hard, really hard, but it's something that we've learned through all of our metrics works when we do it right. When we do it well, we can really see an impact. It's pretty cool. CLT is our brand representation. So CLT is what we call our customer loyalty team, and that's essentially our call center. But these guys, every day, everybody I think who has a call center is either super proud of them or is frustrated by them, depending on what company you're at and what your relationship is with them. I can tell you that, these guys sit in the center of our office. They are the bullpen. They are the lifeblood of our organization. A few people in this room have been to our office, and I think they've seen it and they'd know that. And everything that we do centers around these guys making sure that if the customer has a question, if the customer sees something that's wrong, if the customer has a problem, if the customer just wants to thank us, we try to do something extra special with each touch point we have with these guys. But we really think about our customer loyalty team as the primary folks. So immediate trial, I mentioned that. So, we do direct programs with PayPal. We do programs with Aeroplan. We do programs with Maple Leafs. We do programs with advertising exchanges. We look at all sorts of things, and every single day is us poring over. We have a half-hour meeting called our Rev Ladder meeting, 11:30 every morning, where we literally review line by line, item by item, every single media that we had in market the day before. How many transactions did it make? What was the order value of that? What was the CPA? What was the margin? And we literally will toggle our media up and down daily based on how we thought it performed. And it's a big part of how we manage the business. The other part of how we manage the media is making sure that we're building credible relationships. We're a new, young company. Maybe half of you, maybe all of you in here haven't, except for those who I've met, haven't even heard of us. But part of our job as we build this brand is to build credible relationships. So Shaw Communications, that is a new investor in the company that we do work with. Aeroplan, MLSE, Amex, and all sorts of folks that we work with to try to figure out ways to help add to our credibility. We learn every single day as we think about that. We embrace a business-first mentality. That's another big lesson that we live every day. The biggest point that I'll make on the business-first mentality is our CTO, actually, he and I often get up and do talks together about how a chief marketing officer and a chief technology officer actually get along at our company. And it's hilarious because in so many companies, there's this huge, gigantic brick wall up between them. But this is one of my favorite points to illustrate that, Gary is completely, our CTO, is completely atypical a CTO as you'll ever meet. Guy is a genius beyond all get out, built an amazing platform and can engineer this platform within an inch of his life. Never stops him from coming over to me as I'm implementing a program that he's seeing as I'm bringing it to Bright on the site, and he'll say, dude, no, let's do it this way, think about this, and we'll go into his office and he whiteboards a whole new way for me to think about the marketing program because he's actually got a better way to think about the consumer than I had. I had this really great marketing plan. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to get this many activations, and it's awesome, right? And and it's brilliant on my deck and on my piece of paper and all that. And he's like, dude, we're not thinking about the consumer. Check this out, and look what I can do with our platform to make this program better. That happens time and time and time again. And one of these days, I'll actually learn, so he doesn't have to keep saving me. But it's a great example of how we really are atypical in all of our roles. I'd love to say that I can contribute to programming language as much as he contributes to marketing, but it doesn't work. We work with each other very closely on understanding how we develop tools to drive our businesses, to drive the business together. How do we work with our payment partners? We work through Moneris, and Moneris actually opens up all sorts of interesting conversations. Some of the folks in the room here today that I've had conversations with, from the Hunt Group, from Payments Exchange, from ESI, from all sorts of different types of people that we can talk to. We're constantly looking and tweaking and thinking about ways that we can learn and try a new program, try a new thing that the consumer may appreciate better than we knew, right? We always are thinking about that. And all those things really lead to us thinking about how do we drive the business and think of it. Everybody thinks of ourselves as holistic business thinkers. When we have a customer problem, we'll all chime in on it. We'll all think about it. We all dialogue on it. There's no barriers. Another lesson, and we live in at SHOP, we live in an I will culture. There's no I can. There certainly is no I can't. There is no I'll get on that. There is no I'll try to do it. There's no ambiguity. If there's a discussion and we say we're going to do something, it's finished with a committed I will and a date. We're all very accountable for what we do. And I think from the get-go, as we've been trying to develop ourselves, having that accountability to each other and holding each other accountable has been a very important part of achieving the year-over-year growth, the month-over-month growth that we've had, which has been good. And a big part of that really has been about the relationship that we have, where we're all very accountable. And I think another big part of what we do is, we share and we plan together. And sharing and planning together is, I came from a lot of big companies, and all Canadian and pretty large companies. And one of the things that always made the group of us who established SHOP want to do it was the notion that it's impossible to build a business in a silo. It's impossible for us to think about how to do something as difficult as create Canada's next billion-dollar e-commerce company and become a relevant consumer player and become, at some point, some sort of household name and become somebody that, a company that Canadians truly trust and rely on as a marketplace to get products to the door. You can't do that by having the marketing guy over there, the president over there, the CTO over there, and everybody does their own thing. And, I certainly know I've been in that position many times where I've watched the divide, I've watched the walls go up, I've watched the pain points, I've watched fiefdoms develop, and we share together. I actually literally came from a meeting today where we walked through the marketing plan and how it integrated with the technology plan. How did the technology plan integrate with the revenue plan? How did the revenue plan integrate with the merchandising plan? And it's a very wide open conversation where we all impact and influence each other, and we don't get defensive. We don't worry about any barriers and walls that in other situations where the culture can sometimes breed that. We work very hard to say, alignment in everything that we do is just critical. I think about, we probably have 4 partners, 4 potential media, revenue generating, customer, whatever, merchant, whatever the partner is. We probably have at least between 4 and 6 folks in the office every day. We have a session every morning where we announce who's coming in that day and why are they coming in. We have a stand-up every morning. We talk about it. That breeds alignment for us. That breeds us being on the same page, me knowing, wow, IBM's coming in today to talk about that search problem we're having that we haven't been able to solve. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know where that was in the roadmap. Cool. That's really neat. And that may spark a thought where I can shoot our CTO a note middle of the day before his meeting and say, hey, make sure you talk to them about this. It's just a simple little alignment thing where we do stay on top of these things with each other. And that's part of collaboration. If we think about how we do our site design, how we do our payment design, how do we do checkout flow, how do we do the product detail pages and so on, becomes a very important part of how we do it. We collaborate it. We do it together. Roadmaps, priorities, and the thing that we know is, we're far from perfect on this. This is something we believe in. This is something we care about. But, we miss daily on this. We try really hard, and our intent is right. But when we miss and we see the alignment's not there, we see the mistakes. And it's, especially when you don't have the luxury of time in what you're building to make huge mistakes and to live those mistakes and get through them and say, oh, well, next quarter we'll take care of it. We actually worry about it tomorrow because we have to, because we're a young entrepreneurial company. We see when we're not aligned how it actually kills us, because when we're not aligned, it actually kills the consumer experience. And at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest pain point that we can have. So, I could actually stand here and probably bore you to tears with all the lessons that we've learned. But, at the end of the day, what we try to do every day is a bunch of the senior folks who established SHOP.CA came together to say, we want to make a difference in the Canadian economy. We want to make a difference in the way the Canadian retail space operates. We want to create an opportunity for Canadian retailers to participate in an online marketplace that, even if they have an e-commerce solution or they don't have an e-commerce solution, we're an extended channel for them to be a part of that. We try to make that as seamless and as easy as we can every single day, so that at the end of the day, our merchant partner that we're working with and the consumer and ourselves have really come together to create an awesome Win3, and that we all learn from that together. And that's the high level of the lessons that we can talk about. Are there any questions about what I've talked about? Any questions about what we do? Any thoughts, any considerations? Or if I got you at the end of the day and you're just beat? Nope. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I always have a question. Not all the answers, just questions. How are you positioning yourselves against an Amazon.ca? How do you possibly put yourself against them, and how similar are you, and what's the difference, really, that everyone should know about?
Awesome. Thank you. That's a great question. And, the simple answer is you kind of don't, right? They're Amazon, and they're huge. They're the behemoth. They've been the ones who've established themselves worldwide, certainly North American-wide, and they're establishing themselves against other competitors around the world. But, at the end of the day, what we've done is we've said we're a Canadian company, but that's not just a feel-good. It's about being Canadian and having that Canadian advantage actually mean something. So what we do is we say, every single product you buy in SHOP.CA is shipped from within Canada to Canada. So we can offer free shipping on about 95, 98% of the products on the site. We make sure that there's free returns. We make sure that your warranty will stay intact. We make sure that our customer care team will be there to answer any questions that you've got the second you make that purchase, so that you're dealing with one entity, you know who you're dealing with, and we're the merchant of record on every single sale. You're never dealing with any ambiguity of how that sale is being generated. We're a marketplace that is bringing the best products we can. I think the other big thing that we work very hard on is bringing value. So we don't control the prices because we're a marketplace. So we bring millions of products to the site across 27 categories and all sorts of great stuff, and over 5,000 brands, but we don't control the price. But one of the things we do is we work with all of our partners and we bring forward what we call daily sale events. So if you ever go to our homepage, you'll see for 7 days we've got a great value proposition on that homepage, and we launch 30 a day. So across different categories, and we make sure that every single day it's usually about 30 new events a day where you're going to get a best-in-class exclusive Canadian product feature, either exclusive to SHOP or a sale that's exclusive to SHOP, or the product is exclusive to SHOP, or whatever the case is. So we bring value at it every turn, and the other part of that is Aeroplan. Having Aeroplan miles be a big part of our proposition, and having a social loyalty currency on the site for sharing are all those things that we build together to build value, to build trust, and to build a desire for Canadian consumers to keep coming back. And at the end of the day, we really think every single day about what it means to be a Canadian company, building a Canadian brand, building a Canadian option for people to shop and care about keeping dollars in Canada. Like, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I care about dollars staying here and not going south of the border. It's not jingoistic. It's just, I think it builds a healthy economy. And I think we've got a lot of retail partners who feel the same way. And so that's how we think. That's how we think about. I would never say about fighting the big guys, but I'd say about what's our differentiation and how do we use those assets to get what we think should be our share of the market. It's a big pie, and we're just trying to create a small piece of it. Awesome. Anything else? Awesome.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.